When you ask a GTA Online player what is the most lucrative moneymaker in the entire game, they'll probably answer Cayo Perico, and for good reason. That heist, despite all its recent nerfs, has still got the potential to make you $1 million on average per hour of gameplay, and it's still the most time-efficient way to farm money today. But there's also a big problem with Cayo that you cannot bypass unless you have multiple accounts or a squad to play with, and that problem is its massive 2-hour and 24-minute cooldown. However, there is a business in GTA Online which has recently been buffed with the Money Fronts DLC, and it has the potential to make you about $700,000 per hour, which may not be quite on par with Cayo Perico, but this business does have zero cooldown. In fact, it was so strong a few months ago during a double money week that Rockstar artificially nerfed the payout and its associated high demand bonus so it wouldn't break the $11 million cap that they normally have on sell missions. And I even did a video talking about that whole debacle. If all this sounds far-fetched, I assure you it's no secret to veterans of the game, and the business I'm talking about is none other than the wonderful Hangar, which when combined with the Higgins Helitor's 10% buff will pay you $4.2 million in just over 4 hours if you sell in a public lobby with over 20 players. So let me explain how this works. First, you're going to need the Higgins Helitor's business, which can be purchased for $900,000 once you have the hands-on car wash. Then you're going to want to source one type of crate to get that highly coveted 70% bonus. So whether it's medical supplies or narcotics or chemicals, you want exactly 50 crates of the same type. Normally, there is a 4-minute cooldown before you can source more crates of the same type, but I'll explain how to bypass that cooldown later in the video, and it's actually pretty simple, so keep watching till the very end. Next, you need a fast personal vehicle that you can spawn right next to you. Ideally, this would be a Sparrow, a Presser Mark II, or a Raiju, as those are 3 of the fastest grinding tools in the game. Personally, for these types of missions, I do prefer the Sparrow as it does have a higher top speed than the Oppressor Mark II, and this extra speed comes in handy because a lot of the sourcing missions require you to travel to faraway places like the Alamo Sea, Paleto Bay, or even the Sandy Shores airfield. Plus, the Sparrow is a lot cheaper than if you went with the Raiju, so if you're new to the game, it's probably the way to go. Either way, if you use any of these 3 flying vehicles, you can comfortably finish a land-based source mission from start to end within 5 minutes, allowing you to do 12 per hour if you also abuse the cooldown skip. Now, let's talk location. If you don't own a hangar, which one should you buy? A lot of folks will recommend the Fort Zancudo hangars because they allow you to fly in without immediately slapping a 4-star wanted level on yourself. Plus, there's always the free laser jet parked on the runway, which is a nice bonus as well. But then I've also seen some other players recommend the LSIA hangars, which are a lot cheaper based on the logic that these are going to be much closer to your other businesses like your agency, CEO office, auto shop, etc. So you can travel between businesses much faster. And while that might seem like a pretty good reason to get an LSIA hangar, I definitely suggest saving the extra cash and going for any of the Fort Zancudo locations. Doesn't really matter which one as long as it's in Fort Zancudo in the first place. And the reason for this is most of your air freight cargo source missions will take you to Paleto Bay, Sandy Shores Airfield, or the Alamo Sea as land source missions, and all of these are much closer to Fort Zancudo than they are to LSIA. Some missions will pop up on the south side of the map as well, but even in that situation, because Fort Zancudo hangars are in such a central location, you'll have no trouble getting there fast on the off chance that you do actually have to go there for a mission. And on average, these missions will take you less time to complete if you start at Fort Zancudo, and this will add up in the long run, so the money you save initially by going for the cheaper LSIA location just really isn't worth it, I feel like. And if you're concerned about traveling between your businesses, remember that we have a living quarter, so you can just switch your spawn point and jump into a new invite-only lobby instead of driving or flying to your destination, and that's definitely what I would recommend you do to speed things up. With all the prep work out of the way though, it's finally time to make lots of money with our shiny new hangar, and for this we're going to source crates and then sell those crates once our storage is maxed out. Sounds simple, but there's a lot more nuance to it. For example, the type of crate that you source will affect your payout, and there are 2 different types of source missions: air and land missions. I'm gonna go ahead here and ask you to never do the air source missions anymore because those just kind of suck. Some players like them, but overall they just take longer than the land ones that we have now, and they're definitely not worth the additional effort if you're just going for time and efficiency. I know it's called the hangar and you think that missions involving flying would be more fun, but unfortunately Rockstar's designers really dropped the ball on this one, and the addition of the land-based source missions and sell missions with the San Andreas Mercenaries update was the response and the equivalent of applying a band-aid on the wound that they created in the first place. The same thing applies to the cell missions, by the way. Never do air cell missions. Instead, always do land-based cells. And thanks to a recent update, you will now get exactly 1 vehicle for all your land-based cell missions from the hangar, irrespective of how much product you have in storage, so even with a full load of 50 crates, you'll just get 1 delivery vehicle. Now let's talk about the various types of source missions, as these have a big impact on how much time it takes for you to fill up your hangar. There are 4 types here: break-in, crash site, deal interruption, and sunken treasure. Ideally, you'll want the generator break-in mission, as this is the simplest and provides the least resistance. You'll know when it pops up because you're asked to fly either to La Mesa or Richmond, and when you get there, you'll find a lockup with a generator that's connected to the door. Blow up or shoot the generator and you can just fly away with the cargo inside. That one's really good to use the Oppressor Mark II on, because there's no guards, nobody's going to chase after you since you're in a flying vehicle. The break-in source mission overall, really no matter what vehicle you're using, can reliably be done in 3 minutes or less, and it's the best and fastest one for grinding. Then you have the crash site mission, which is a little bit more time consuming since you first fly to the Sandy Shores airfield where Rooster has crashed his Streamer 216, and you'll find a bunch of thugs guarding the place. Plus a civilian notices all the mayhem and calls the cops, so you have to fight them all off at the same time. It's still quite easy because all you have to do is just spam your homing missiles as you approach the site, land next to the glowing crate, and take off immediately once you secure it. Honestly, you don't even need to fire homing missiles. There's no need to engage at all in any prolonged or any short gunfight. No need to kill all the enemies. Just land, grab, and take off. That one can be done in 5 minutes. The deal interruption mission is where you search for a container, and it's also quite simple. Just go to the location where the gangs are negotiating a deal, shoot up the place with homing missiles from your Oppressor or Sparrow, then spot the cargo container, and at this stage, the game expects you to use the semi-truck that's parked nearby, but the much faster way to do so is by simply blowing up the trailer and flying away with its contents. This does not reduce the value of the cargo in any way, you won't lose it, and it's the only way that you should do this mission. Just clear a path, blow up the container, collect the crate, and fly back to the hangar with your cargo. The 4th type of land source mission is the sunken treasure mission, and for this you'll fly someplace far away like Toledo Bay, the Alamo Sea, or El Burro Heights. Whenever you see these locations, it's honestly probably best to load into a new invite only, as this particular land source mission is almost as bad as some of the air source missions, as it just takes the longest amount of time. First, you have to go to the location, then you have to land on a barge, find a switch to drop the cargo, then you take a Kraken Visa sub down to the ocean floor to scoop it up and bring it back to the shore, where then you'll load it into a mule truck and drive that slow van back to the hangar. Or you could just blow up the mule and fly back with the cargo, same as with the container mission we just talked about, but that's still way too time consuming. And so I suggest, if you're going for time and efficiency, definitely just load into a new lobby whenever you get this particular source mission, and the amount of time you spend on loading screens is going to be nothing compared to the amount of time that you'll waste driving around that stupid Avisa and even mule. If you want to skip all the manual sourcing shenanigans entirely, you can also just ask Rooster to source crates for you. He takes 48 minutes to do so, costs $25,000, and he will return with either 1, 2, or sometimes even 3 crates. Usually he brings back 1 or 2. A triplet is extremely rare. Now remember, each crate has a base value of $30,000, and you're spending $25,000 to source it, so your profit margins are going to fall off a cliff if you exclusively use Rooster for sourcing. But he also buys you 48 minutes of time, which you can then do Cluck and Bell, 7 money laundering operation missions, 2 auto shop robberies, 2 FIB files, or every single setup for Cayo Perico. You get the idea. $5,000 may be the profit you're making from your crate business with every Rockstar source, but you also get that 48 minutes of time that you don't have to spend flying around repeating the same missions over and over. That gets really boring, of course, and ultimately Rooster isn't going to be that good for profit, but if you think about it, you're spending $1.25 million to get $1.65 million in return, assuming he only brings 1 crate at a time. That's with the Higgins Helitors buff, so $33,000 per crate and 50 crates. You're getting just $400,000 in profits, but remember, if you do that, you're also doing absolutely nothing except pressing 1 button every time you spawn into your hangar to pay him to go source cargo for you. You're basically trading a lot of your hangar profits for time that you can spend in doing more exciting content, and that's a trade-off that some like me are willing to make. I don't usually farm hangar crates all the time because I'm busy with the auto shop, the FIB garment factory file, the salvage yard, the agency, literally anything else that requires my time and attention, whereas hangar crates and even CEO cargo, I don't want to waste time sourcing, so I always pay my technicians to source for me. That way I'm making money with these businesses when I otherwise wouldn't be making any money with them at all. Ultimately, it's up to you, because if you source crates manually, that'll give you the 70% bonus, which you won't get with Rooster because he can source random goods. Plus, you spend $0 on sourcing, so the profit margins are going to be at their absolute best, and they're pretty insane. But you also have to spend a significant amount of time, at least 4 hours in a row for a full hangar. And now, while we're on the topic of bonuses here, here's a quick chart that's going to show you how much you get for each type of good. While the base value of each crate type is locked to $30,000, the real benefit comes from multi-crate bonuses, which can vary. As you can see, the 3 most profitable goods are narcotics, medical supplies, and chemicals. All 3 of these provide a 70% bonus if you exclusively stock your hangar warehouse with 50 of any type. However, what most people do is a 50-50 split. For example, they can source a chemical crate. Then, while that's on its cooldown, they go do a medical crate. The cooldown for each crate is 4 minutes, so you can overlap 2 types of crates in a split formation without being blocked by either one of the cooldowns. Or if you're a serious grinder, what you can do is bring back a crate, quit into the main menu, then load into story mode, and from there jump into an invite-only lobby. This will completely remove the cooldown on all crate types because the hangar cooldown isn't a stat that's tied to the hangar business. It's instead a global variable that resets whenever you relaunch the game from the main menu. And yeah, this quote-unquote skip has been around for a while now, and Rockstar has yet to patch it, so if you want, take full advantage of it before it goes. And if you're a true sweat lord here, you can shave off a few more seconds each time by parking your terabyte in front of the hangar and starting your source missions from there. But if you're on last gen, you probably might as well do the 50-50 split because loading takes forever on those slow hard drives. It's really only viable for players with PCs, especially if you have a fast solid state drive, or of course, you're on current gen consoles. Remember, you have to quit all the way to the main menu. Simply reloading into a new invite-only lobby for this will not work. Alright. Now that I've elaborated on all the ways you can source your crates, let's discuss selling here. This goes without saying, but never do air cells. Always do land cells. That way you'll only get one vehicle. Usually you'll get the Apocalypse version of the Weenie Issy, the Vapid Ratel, or the container truck. Sometimes the game will give you a Maxwell Vagrant, but that has been quite rare for me in recent times. If you get the Issy, you have to make 10 short stops, and it's usually a route through the sewers or railway tracks. With the Ratel, you make 5 drops, and it usually involves a bit of off-roading on your part, but the easiest and by far the best one in my opinion is the trailer cell mission because you only have 1 drop off, and therefore all you have to do is hook up the container to your Iron Mule and you can simply fly all the way there to deliver it. At the destination, there's usually another semi-truck cab parked nearby, so you can drive it into the yellow circle and that's it, job done. Don't forget to sit in the cab at the hangar so you get the GPS data, then place down your own marker on the map. Otherwise, you'll simply hook up the Iron Mule to that container and you won't know where to go otherwise. If you sell with the 70% bonus in an invite-only lobby, you'll make $2.8 million from a full 50 crates, provided you own the Higgins helicopter tour business. And it shouldn't take you more than 4 hours total to source all of it if you use the cooldown skip and load into a new lobby whenever you get a bad source mission. But you can boost this a further 50% with the high demand bonus and take that payout all the way up to $4.2 million. It's going to be a bit risky, but on a double payout week, it might just be worth it if you aren't afraid of shooting down a pesky griefer or two. The railgun or heavy sniper with explosive rounds are both excellent options for dealing with oppressor kitties. And if you get the trailer cell mission, it's super easy to just hook it up to your Iron Mule and activate Ghost Org so you can fly there in a couple minutes and finish the mission before anyone even lays their hands on you. But that's it. That's all I have for this hangar business guide. I do think the hangar is an S-tier business right now, even without any payout buffs, and when it's on 2 times money, the hangar literally pays so much that Rockstar has to forcibly cap its high demand bonus so players don't break their golden $11 million rule. If you don't own one already, get a hangar right now. Not only is it an excellent source of income, but it also serves as a base for all your other aircraft and allows you to modify weaponized aircraft as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. Drop a like if you guys did enjoy today's video. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new and you want to see more content like this. Check me out over on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram, specifically twitch.tv/hazardoushtv for GTA Online live streams. And as always, I will see you guys in the next GTA 5 online video. Adios, amigos.